Earlier this evening, the board, as required by the Illinois Open Meetings Act, met and considered minutes and recordings of all past closed meetings to determine whether the need for confidentiality still exists. The board members unanimously agreed that it continues to be necessary to keep confidential the minutes and recordings of its past meetings. The general orders and other directives issued by the superintendent during the previous month are posted on the police department's website. Our next, Superintendent Brown, if you would like to give an oral report.
Thank you so much. Good evening to the members of the Chicago Police Board and everyone joining us online. I truly appreciate all our participants and the dialogue that this forum provides. This has been a busy time for the Chicago Police Department. Our officers are working day and night to stem the tide of the summer violence. I've tasked a new group of leaders to find creative solutions to the problem of shootings and murders in our neighborhoods. A total of 19 chiefs, deputy chiefs, and commanders were sworn in as part of a ceremony held yesterday at Chicago Police Headquarters. We also recognize the careers of First Deputy Superintendent Anthony Riccio and Chief of Operations Fred Waller. These men both announced their retirements after dedicating more than 30 years to this department. Tony has been a trusted advisor who never forgot what it means to work the street, and he has been both a voice of reason and a source of valuable insight for me in Chicago. Fred has a smile that can light up a room. He has inspired countless officers to go above and beyond to keep people safe. These two great men in policing will be missed, but CPD has a deep, deep bench. Chief Eric Carter has taken over as First Deputy Superintendent. Carter is a 28-year veteran of CPD who most recently served as the first ever Chief of the Bureau of Counterterrorism and Special Operations. As First Deputy, Carter will be responsible for all aspects of patrol operations and criminal investigations. Commander Brian McDermott will serve as a new Chief of Operations. McDermott will oversee the Bureau of Patrol, which includes all 22 police districts throughout the city. Commander McDermott has diligently served the 8th or Chicago Lawn District on the South Side for the past 18 months. He previously worked as the 8th District Captain. These promotions and others were all made with the intent of strengthening our operations while maintaining the institutional knowledge necessary to keep CPD moving forward. The new additions to the command staff also represent a diverse group of individuals that I've asked to be innovative in their pursuit of public safety. This includes continuing our work with residents and strengthening relationships with the community members we serve and protect. Chicago needs to find fresh solutions to its ongoing problems. I am convinced these leaders will be willing to implement the changes necessary to reform and modernize our department. Within the coming weeks, we will build upon our efforts to ensure strategic leadership within the department while enhancing our community-based focus to restore its trust and increase public safety. Our officers and our residents deserve nothing less. Thank you for your time tonight. I look forward to hearing from everyone. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Superintendent. And on behalf of the Chicago Police Board, we also would like to thank First Deputy and the Chief for all of their hard work. We've come to know each other quite a bit over the years, and actually, consider them to be friends. And their service is greatly appreciated by the city of Chicago, and they will be missed. Next up, I'll call on Chief Roberts for an oral report. You're on mute. You're on mute. This is the wonders of technology.
Yes, sorry about that. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. President. I thought I would touch on some highlights from our Q2 report that we just released yesterday. As is pretty common knowledge, as a result of COVID in 2019, we started this quarter under a stay-at-home order, and we transitioned to remote operations. And I have to say that I think we transitioned rather seamlessly. But as a result of the stay-at-home order, COPA received an unprecedented reduction in our complaint intake. Complaints in April dropped by 42% from the prior month. But I will say during that time, we continued to take complaints remotely. We continued to remotely interview complainants, witnesses, and officers. We continued to respond to FOIAs. We continued to close cases. We closed 75 cases with findings. 27 of those were sustained findings. We continued to issue disciplinary recommendations. In this last quarter, we're seeking terminations in 8 cases. We completed 7 transparency releases of officer-involved shootings, and we also concluded 6 officer-involved shooting investigations, 3 of which resulted in sustained findings. But just as the stay-at-home order was about to be relaxed, the city was responding to the death of George Floyd, and our complaints skyrocketed. By June, our complaints had increased by 112% over the prior month of May. In response to the protests and the ensuing complaints, we created a specialized team to investigate the most egregious of those complaints. We referred 5 complaints to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We requested a total of 8 officers be relieved of their police powers during the pendency of our investigation. And we maximized our transparency efforts and created a dedicated protest complaint data portal on our website to not only provide information about the number, type, and location of the complaints, but to provide updated information on our investigative efforts. This data portal is being updated on a weekly basis. To date, COPA has received 414 protest-related complaints. 245 have been referred to the Bureau of Internal Affairs. COPA presently has 138 pending investigations related exclusively to the protests. I'd encourage everybody to visit our website at www.chicagocopa.org. In addition to finding information about our quarterly report and protest complaint data, there's just general information about how COPA operates and our investigative outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. The Police Board, as authorized by the Open Meetings Act, has considered in a closed meeting 1 disciplinary case. The board will now take final action on the case. Regarding case number 20PB2969, the superintendent filed charges against police officer Patrick Kane, recommending that he be discharged from the Chicago Police Department for stalking and verbal abuse. The superintendent subsequently moved to withdraw these charges because the respondent resigned his position with CPD. Is there a motion to grant the superintendent's motion?
This is Paula Wolf, so moved.
Michael Reedy, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. This order will be entered as of today's date and will be issued to the parties and will be posted on the board's website. I will now call upon members of the public who signed up in advance to speak. Each speaker will be unmuted after I call his or her name. The first speaker, and speakers, we will have 2 minutes. I will turn on the timer. The first speaker, Willie O.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm gonna get straight to the point. I'm a beef facilitator of in the 6th district, co-beef facilitator, and I was at a social gathering the other day, and the question came up: what does the police do? What is their job? So one person said that the police do not prevent crime, they report crime. So my 3 years in the military during the Vietnam year, I know you would always get somebody some member to volunteer for covert operations. Somebody will take it. I know it's a dangerous job, but what we need is somebody some policemen to actually live in the community and interact with the peoples on the block and try to prevent these shootings, these killings from occurring. They would have a first-hand knowledge. Like I said, it probably won't take me 2 minutes to explain this. So that is my suggestion with the police decree and the way they should do community policing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Superintendent, do you want to talk about some of the efforts that you're looking at right now?
Yeah, we're increasing our response by convening a larger group of officers to deal with some of the violence that we've seen. And the uniqueness of this is we're going to require them, in my direction, to do community service projects. They've already begun doing this. They've done PPE handout for people in the community where they're trying to tamp down the violence, handing out PPE. They have helped deliver meals to the elderly with some of the nonprofits. And they also are participating in some of the peace marches that some of the faith community is convening in these areas to try to send a message that the community and the police are working together. So we're really excited about this new collaboration with the community. This team is going to be called the Community Safety Team. There'll be upwards of 400 officers that are going to be in the areas. One of the things that we've seen in the past several weeks is that we just get outnumbered with some of these large parties. Some of these large parties are hundreds and hundreds of people out for various reasons, and then the gang conflicts put innocent people in the crossfires. And so we just need to be able to collaborate with the community much more and respond to those. So I'm hearing the listener about being involved in the community more, maybe living in the community, and some of our officers do live in the community. Many of our officers are born and raised on the west side and south sides, and many of them still live in the area. And so we have that piece already covered. We just need more collaboration and a bigger footprint collaboration with our citizens, our residents.
Thank you. Next speaker is Lou P.
My name is Lou. What's your name? Gloria. We live in the 800 block east on 87th place here in the city on the south side, and it has been mayhem and bedlam since the pandemic. And we've been calling 911. We've gone to the alderman. We've gone to CAPS to try to get help. We can't sleep at night. There's a lot of partying, shootings galore, people galore. We just need help.
There's so much party in the street. These people party from 6 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 o'clock in the morning. Loud, righteous, awful music that you wouldn't even want to hear in your own ears. And this goes on till 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning.
And we are predominantly a
elderly block of people. We don't have any really teens on the block. But what comes over here is young, ages between 18 and say 30. And they take on the whole entire block, be full of cars. There's so much trash when we get up in the morning. There's trash from one end of the block to the other. Beer bottles, paper cups, food bags, you name it. It's littered on the streets every single day. This doesn't happen once a week. This is every night.
We've had so many shootings, it's unreal. So many shooting incidents. We've been constantly calling 911. We've been calling Section 8. We've been calling CAPS 632 headquarters. It's just ridiculous.
What options do we have to stop the noise, stop the people that don't live on this block? They just drive over here and car after car after car after car and litter up our streets and play loud music.
And shoot guns.
And shoot.
Thank you. Superintendent?
Yeah, again, I like to reemphasize one of the things, I started the job 12 weeks ago, right at the point where we had reorganized the structure of the Chicago Police Department into 5 areas, which made each area have a smaller group than the previous 3 areas. And you quickly realize from what the callers are expressing, just multiple parties throughout South Side and West Side are similarly having same kinds of problems of these very large crowds, several hundred people. And it is every day of the week, where the pre-COVID, pre-George Floyd reorganization had to be amended just based on what your callers are saying, which really prompted me to convene a larger group of officers that would deploy in a way that we could actually pre-deploy and prevent the crowd from getting that large. And so soon to come, and there's a lot of contractual things that had to be worked out during the 12 weeks I've been here to make this change happen. But it's a have-to change to get a larger number of officers to deal with some of the issues that your callers are bringing up. And it's just unprecedented times where people are doing some of the things that your callers are mentioning, and we need a larger police response, but with the community as a collaboration, not as a occupying force.
Great, thank you very much. Next speaker, Matt Brandon.
Good evening, and I'd like to first congratulate the new appointees, First Deputy Eric Carter and Brian McDermott, the new Chief of Patrol, and congratulations to Fred Waller. Knew him for years, knew him when he was a young policeman, and heck of a guy. And congratulations, Fred, on your retirement. Just some observations and recommendations tonight, not a whole lot. And I think you feel the frustration of the people who have called in on exactly how our communities are being serviced. There's a sense that there is not service that's being given to our communities. We participate in CAPS, we call the police, and we know it's a rough time for the police, but there's got to be a strategy to eliminate particularly these neighborhood parties. And Superintendent, it's a matter of numbers, but something's got to be done. And the community can't go out and face a mad group of people, or else, that creates a dangerous situation. And you don't want vigilantism to occur in our communities. That's what that would lead to. A couple of recommendations for our new CAPS commander, and congratulations to Angel Navalis. We look forward to working with him along with Chief of Patrol McDermott to address some of these issues. I would like to ask Commander Navalis to consider going on some of these CAPS calls unannounced, just to listen in, just to hear what the people hear, what answers they get when they ask these questions. I think that would be a good way for him to really put his finger on the pulse of how these CAPS meetings are failing. And he could get some idea of how to proceed from there. And Chief Patrol McDermott, we hope to be able to have the accessibility to you that we had to Chief Fred Waller. And Superintendent Brown, you got a tough job. We're looking forward to working with you. And thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker, we will go to Jennifer Edwards.
Good evening, everyone. I want to congratulate Mr. Willie O and Lou. They're some of our organizing. I'm so happy they called in. Met them on CAP meetings calls. One of our goals is to increase community participation at beat meetings in the CAPS program. We've noticed that each district runs their meetings differently, 3rd and 6th districts. Our goal is to bring communities together in the same bordering wards and teach residents how to effectively report problems. We've researched the CAP strategy and partnership problem-solving publication from the CPD Education and Training Division and find that the model is different than what's practiced. Since we've recruited various community organizations stressing the importance of attendance at the CAPS meetings, attendance has increased even in virtual meetings. We suggest allowing virtual contact after meetings return to in-person attendance. Some of our concerns are: 1, who conducts the meeting? CPD, community members, these facilitators, or a combination? Number 2, strategies discussed that are not followed through, examples, foot patrol and beat integrity. Number 3, excluding groups of community stakeholders, not allowing community members at business meetings. Number 4, the frequency of meetings and locations. We suggest various community locations, varied days, and weekend meetings, excluding necessary police personnel that could answer questions about crime patterns, examples, detectives and tactical officers. Number 6, statistical info given. Should report details of crime solved, arrests made, crime patterns. Number 7, instead of the number of calls for service, we should include the number of calls serviced and a comparison of the number of 19 Paul-coded calls that were not answered. This is reported because of the high number of calls placed by community members that are not answered. I have a question for Superintendent Brown. Is it possible to get a report of the 19 Paul-coded calls in our districts?
I'll wait for you again.
Go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes, there is, and I'll make sure I get with the new commander Navalis to make sure you get the information you're requesting.
Superintendent, can I also make a suggestion that I can pass your information along? We've been working with Ms. Edwards and Ms. Norfleet and Mr. Brandon for a while. They typically tend to come with some good research and some good ideas. It could be a good opportunity for CPD to work with this community group to see if there is a way to improve CAPS. They may have some good suggestions, and this could be a good way of the community working hand in hand with CPD. So I'll make that connection. And Ms. Edwards, I know that you sent over some of your written comments. I'll make sure that we get that to the superintendent as well. I'm going to come back to Ms. Norfleet.
Thank you so much. And yes, those technical difficulties continue to plague us, even though this is part of the new norm. Good evening, everybody. I do have my written comments, and I thank you, President Foreman. Hopefully you will pass those on to the board and to the president. But I just want to quickly say and underscore the angst that my neighbors to the east, it was just painful to listen to those who have worked all their lives, who have sacrificed to live in their homes and to feel uprooted. I encourage them, if there's any way, President Foreman, you can help us get in contact with those neighbors, please help us. Perhaps we can band together and we can be of assistance in our problems over here in Grand Crossing, as well as those in South Shore. Further, to my comments that are pre-prepared, I'm asking the superintendent, will you please not dismantle the CART program, which is the Community Action Response Team. I understand that your new team is going to be called, let's see here, Community Safety Team. I am somewhat troubled that it's going to take 10 months for us to get this group up and running, but I'm wishing you Godspeed, and hopefully that we can do it in advance. And finally, I would like for someone on the board to tell us what is the status of the cadet program. If you cannot answer my question during this session, I do hope that you will be able to present this information to us during the next session in August. The board, you are the board of directors for our CEO, who is the superintendent of police. The service and the product that you are trying to provide to this community is peace.
I'm sorry.
And your rival company is anarchy.
Superintendent, would you like to talk about the CART program?
Yeah, the CART team on the west side is staying in place, and we're trying to figure out a way for the CART team on the south side to stay in place as well. The community safety team that I mentioned, the 400 strong, will not take 8 months. It'll be fully staffed and working on the 23rd of this month. We hope to address many of these problems with a larger footprint and collaboration with the community on starting the 23rd.
And Superintendent, I'll make sure that you get the recommendation of the cadet program. I can't remember if we've given it to you or not, but I'll make sure you get it. It was a good recommendation, and so I'll make sure that you get that. The board, we can make a recommendation, we can pass it along. It's something that it wouldn't operate out of the board. It would be something that would operate, with the conjunction of CPD. So Ms. Norfleet, we will. I'll make sure that I can pass that information along to the superintendent. Next speaker, Caitlin Coyers.
Hi, this is Caitlin. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My question is just around some research-based policy solutions for reforming the Chicago Police Department. I know that there's a number of reforms that were proposed in 2017, and many of those deadlines have been missed. Some of the research-based policy solutions that are suggested include ending broken windows policing, decriminalizing minor activities, increasing or having unconscious or implicit bias testing and training, ending for-profit policing, demilitarizing the police, and removing unfair protections of police officers and renegotiating those contracts with police unions. Just curious if this board is advocating for any of these policy changes, and if not, why?
The board is actually, we are undertaking our looking at some of the previous reports that have been done, as well as we are doing our own research in terms of some of the best practice, and the police board has the ability to make recommendations for policy decisions. And so we're taking a good look at it, not only Chicago Police Department, but what's happening around the country, to see what are some of the changes that we could be recommending. This is challenging because we have the federal monitoring team right now for the consent decree. And so there are changes taking place inside COPA, changes inside the police department, and changes inside CPD. So in order for us to really get a good grip on everything and to make sure that we're not one group is not doing something that's contrary to another group, we do meet quarterly. Sorry about that. We do meet quarterly, and so this is something that we're actually looking into right now. So I absolutely thank you for bringing this up. We invite you to come back to future board meetings, and hopefully we can continue to provide some good updates. Next speaker.
Great. Thank you.
The next speaker is Larice Suttle.
Good evening to everyone who joined the call, and welcome to Chicago, Superintendent Brown. My name is Larice Suttle. I'm 24 years old. I reside on the east side of the city in South Shore 7th Ward community. And since I only have 2 minutes to speak, I just want to say, although I have attended almost every police board meeting since June of last year, I have never spoken until tonight. And moving forward, that will change. Effective constitutional policing, earning public trust, equitable police policies, transparency, public and officer safety, and police accountability must be priorities of this police department and all police reform agencies in the city of Chicago, state of Illinois, and across the country moving forward. Not in theory, but in practice. because really, enough is enough. Recent news and reactions from political leaders and community leaders across the nation in relation to racism and police violence deeply moves me, but it also concerns me. I was adopted and raised by my paternal grandmother, Flora Suttle, who is a retired Chicago police agent. I graduated from Illinois State University in December of 2018, earning my Bachelor's of Science in Political Science and minors in Women and Gender Studies and Sociology. When I was 15, my father, Derek Suttle, was fatally shot by an off-duty Chicago police officer 5 days before my golden birthday, down the street from our house with his wife. The officer has still yet to be held accountable for violating my father's constitutional rights. 3,078 days later, my father's life matters. As I continue to move through the world knowing that my biggest responsibility is to remain thoughtful, honor where I came from, and recognize that I didn't just appear and find my own voice. So now I just want to take the time to recognize the South Shore Chamber of Commerce, Chicago 200, the NAACP, especially the Youth and College Division, Peoria and Chicago's West and South Side branches, Illinois Caucus for Adolescent Health, Moms Demand Action, especially Hyde Park chapter, Save Money, Save Lives, January's 2020 CPD Cadet.
I'm sorry, Ms. Suttle. Your time ran out. I apologize, but I thank you for your participation, Superintendent. Ms. Suttle has been present every board meeting I can really recall. First, she came, really didn't want to say too much, and more as we heard today. She's absolutely a real advocate. When we get an opportunity to get in person, I would absolutely encourage you to get a chance to know her. She's a really sharp young woman, and she has the kind of voice that we want to make sure is heard, and that she really gets an opportunity to make a difference in the city. Next speaker, CPD transparency.
Hello again. There's a recent quote in the news that sums up why CPD can't reform itself. It's by Gary Kasparov. Quote, as I've written for years about the Putin regime, comparing it to a mafia, the core is loyalty. Any crime is fine, from obstruction to treason to murder, if you're sure the big boss can and will shield you from consequences. Gary Kasparov. That's the same conclusion Jamie Calvin came to in Code of Silence about the Chicago Police Department internal affairs. The bosses of CPD have made so many dirty side deals to get where they are that practically no cop is ever punished, no matter what the cop did. Did you see the video snippet of Eddie Johnson, shit-faced, staring hard at the young cop, pressing the big boss card to the glass, and the only thing the cop does is wish him good night? The police board didn't bring about the consent decree. The consent decree was dead. Lori Lightfoot said it was dead. Dean Angelo was barrel laughing. Donald Trump had been elected. Ask yourself, what cases is CPD hiding? The cases that caused the consent decree. Barbara West will not even admit that everyone has an inalienable First Amendment right to record in public. You can't prove anything without video. That's why CPD hates cameras. Also, ask Ms. West why her nickname is Pillows. I quoted Kasparov because he explained why it takes internal affairs years to write third-grade level reports full of lies. No boss can say anything, see anything, or do anything because they owe their power to dirty side deals with other bosses. Calvin understood it, Kasparov understood it, and Black Lives Matters understands it. The consent decree is not going to solve this complex of mafia bosses. My YouTube channel is Chicago PD Transparency. One more thing, Ed Siskel is misspelled in last month's transcript. Ed Siskel is Rahm Emanuel's lawyer, relative of Gene Siskel, Siskel and Ebert, S-I-S-K-E-L. Thank you. And my speech is, it's on that website. I just gave you the YouTube channel if you want the transcript. That's my comment. Thank you very much.
Sure. David Dewar.
Good evening. My name is David Dewar. I live on the 19th Ward. I ran for alderman, and I do support good policing. Unfortunately, that didn't happen to me in 2014. I was falsely arrested by my connected neighbor, William Hosty. The police came out, falsely arrested me. A civil rights judge found that I was falsely arrested. To add insult to injury, a year later, the police came out with 6 police officers in the 19th Ward, 22nd District to arrest me again. I had just left the house. They retrieved the basketball, stayed 30 minutes. This has got to stop. Until this point, I have not released the 300 pages of documents which I was not allowed to present in my jury trial as a pro se on December 2nd and 3rd. And the reason why I have not presented it is because I fear for my life and my mom. But things need to change. So I am going to present it to Jonathan Cronin, one of the chief investigators at COPA, the Inspector General. And what it's going to do, it's going to show exactly how for years the police have falsified police reports, evidence, and they've arrested and framed people to go into prison. And I hope that the Chicago Police Board takes this seriously, to use this as a template where we can have true accountability, where these police officers, Feldman and Devine, and this political connected William Hosty, will not be able to frame people and utilize the police as a weapon as they did against me and my mom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, Robert Moore.
Yeah, Mr. Foreman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I got 2 phones on. Is that all right?
No, it's not okay, Mr. Moore. You have to mute one of the phones.
Oh, hold on. Let me call back if I get lost.
Okay. Well, we lost Mr. Moore.
Mr. Foreman.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha. So my 120 seconds starts right now. Thank you. First of all, I do recognize the effort to try to get the balls in the air and get this coordinated. First of all, what I'm demanding is that there be some provision for a video capture of the chief policymaker, which is the superintendent, in terms of when a question comes in, so the public gets the same benefit of being able to assess his demeanor as in a police board meeting. So I'm sure there's some type of video capture that can be put and kept on the superintendent every single meeting throughout the year. I have to move on. Mr. Superintendent Brown, do you know when I say what a Reichstag fire, when people refer to in the Patriot movement a Reichstag fire, do you know what we mean by a Reichstag fire?
Now, Mr. Moore, for the sake of time, why don't you explain the Reichstag fire?
Okay, real quick, it's problem, reaction, solution. Adolf Hitler had almost no power. 1 vote, he won a 3-way election as chancellor. They burned down the Reichstag, claimed that the communists were attacking, federalized and militarized the police. And overnight, by August, he was the president. He took over the whole thing. This COVID-19, I don't know what happened to George Floyd, but the response to George Floyd, this is all orchestrated from, it's not just deep state, it's super cloud cover manipulation of the Committee of 300. I'm demanding that the investigation not stop below the clouds. It's got to. George Soros, someone is paying the U-Haul trucks and the dropping off the bricks and the hotel bills and the food and all the rest of these costs and paying people to perpetrate this violence. I have to demand that the investigation go all the way to George Soros and the Committee of 300. Subpoenas must be, you got to get subpoenas through a grand jury. Get a grand jury and get subpoenas issued for a legitimate investigation, both state and at federal level, of what's really behind these. There's a menu of these crises that they're producing because they fear they're not going to get the 5.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. Sorry your time is up. And Mr. Moore, thanks to CAN TV, we will actually have, this is videotaped so you can actually get the demeanor. Before we adjourn, Superintendent, I noticed you're wearing a different uniform than we're normally used to seeing you in a suit. Can you explain that to us, please?
Yeah, so I met all the qualifications for the state of Illinois to be a police officer, Chicago Police Department. So I'm finally in the superintendent police uniform, and I'm really proud to be associated with the department as the superintendent and wear his uniform. Really proud.
Congratulations, Superintendent.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
At this time, all members of the public who signed up to speak have been called. Is there a motion to adjourn?
This is Paula Wolf. I so move.
Yes, Michael Eady, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much. Please stay safe. Look forward to your participation next month. Thank you.
All right. Stay safe, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.